BigCountryPreps.com. I'm Evan Wren, and this is the Countdown to Two-A-Days series. Our daily look at an area football team and the key questions we'll be answering about that team and our August 20th preseason preview here at Big Country Preps. I'm with my partner, Dan Youngblood, via Zoom. And tonight, Dan, we're talking about the Mineral Wells Rams.
Yeah, and this is a program that has been on the rise the last couple of years. Last year had a really nice 7-4 season to kind of break a string of losing seasons, and they've got a solid group back this year. 16 of 32 Letterman return. Among those, just four offensive starters, but they do return a solid nucleus of six defensive starters. So a foundation to build from, and they're going to be relying on call-ups from a solid JV team. So it should be an interesting year for Coach Worrell and his bunch. The big obviously, there are going to be some big questions they're going to have to answer, and we'll talk about those here in just a few minutes. But I think it's going to be an exciting year for Mineral Wells and what could be a really interesting district.
All right, and with that, we want to remind you folks to please hit the subscribe button at YouTube. It's free. And then also hit the little bell, and you'll get notifications each and every time that we post a video there. And with that, Dan, the big questions about Mineral Wells. What is your first?
I think the big one is on that offensive side of the football where they returned just the four starters. They lost a lot of skill talent, a lot of kids it really had kind of been responsible for the bulk of their production the last couple of years. But quarterback Owen Gadd is gone. They lost a couple of really talented running backs in Caden Montalvo and Preston Mendez. Obviously, Preston Harrison, the talented receiver, he's off to Texas Tech. Caden Caspar is another one who had a big year for him. So they lost a lot of talent at those skill positions. My question is, who are going to be the playmakers for them this year? They got a pretty good group of linemen back, a nice nucleus there, but they're going to have to find some guys to make some plays for them, and I'm just interested to see who emerge in those roles. So that's the biggest question I have is who's going to be responsible for their offensive production this year?
My key question for them is how much help they're going to get from this JV group. Normally you can't expect a ton of help, but this is an 8-2 JV team that faced a tough schedule last year. This is a good group, and I do know that the Mineral Well staff is very high on their juniors. This is a talented core group of juniors that they've got coming up. So I would expect them to get a significant amount of help. There will be youthful mistakes that they're going to have to overcome and try to clean up before district. But we'll see. If this JV group is as good on paper or as good in person as they are on paper, they should get plenty of help from them and maybe even take a small step forward this year. It's possible.
Yeah, and my last question, we talk about the graduation losses they suffer, the skill talent they've lost. My last question is actually a strength for them. They've of the guys they do return, the bulk of those come up front. They've got a good group of offensive linemen back that are expected to lead them there. Some serious size led by Javon McKinney, a guy who stands 6'4" and 305 as a junior. So he's going to be one that's going to help him lead that group up there. So some serious size on the offensive line, and then on the defensive line, you've got a guy in Trent Yowell who was just a wrecking ball from his defensive end position last year as a junior, earning Defensive Newcomer of the Year honors in the process. 71 tackles, 7 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, 3 fumble recoveries. A guy who can really wreak havoc there. So my question is while they kind of try to develop some of those skill players and kind of find some playmakers, is how much of a load will these lines be able to take off some of those skill guys? 'Cause I think that they've got an opportunity to be pretty strong on both lines, really. And if that's the case, that's a good place to start, especially with a young team where you're trying to kind of find your way. If you've got a group that can move the line on both sides of the football, you're gonna be in better shape than not. So that's gonna be interesting. I just want to see what kind of improvement we can expect from those line groups.
All right, and with that, we're going to take a peek at Mineral Well's schedule for 2025. But before we do that, we need to thank a few of our sponsors, beginning with For the Love of the Game Broadcasting and our old friend Terry Slavens, owner of K-Lakes 93.5 FM out of Brackenridge, 97.7 FM KATX out of Eastland, Classic Country AM 1330 out of Graham, 94.7 FM KWKQ out of Graham, KROO 1430 AM out of Bracken, KWBY 98.5 FM out of Ranger. That is For the Love of the Game Broadcasting. Also, Rob Durham, sales consultant at Bear Chevrolet Buick Cadillac up in Breckenridge, If you're in the market for a new vehicle or a used vehicle, call Rob. He's one of the nicest guys you'll ever want to meet. Give him a shout at 254 559 2266. That's Rob Durham up at Bear Chevrolet Buick Cadillac in Breckenridge. And finally, Cavalry Resources and Construction, located up in Breckenridge, serving the entire big country, offering custom standing seam roofing made on location and all commercial roofing applications. Give Kobe Walker a shout at 254 246 5546. That is Cavalry Resources and Construction in Breckenridge. All right, it's time to take a peek at Mineral Wells' schedule for 2025. We will begin with the non-district portion, and it is a challenging non-district portion. I think a useful one to gain some experience and to maybe go in, with a little bit of confidence, considering it's not a pushover schedule by any means, but there are winnable games in there. We will start with Fort Worth Polytechnic. That's going to be on August the 29th. That's a home date for Mineral Wells. Two straight road dates will follow at Iowa Park on September 5th and at Fort Worth Eastern Hills on September 11th. They will play host to Quinlan Ford on September the 18th and another home game against Godley on September the 26th. And that will lead into the open date. I like that non-district schedule. There are winnable games, but they're all challenges.
Yeah, it's definitely an opportunity for a young team to build some confidence. I like it as well. They will kick off district with another winnable game at Bridgeport October 10th. A really important game to win for them. Before hitting the road for Brock on October 17th, they'll host Graham on the 24th of October. Travel to Saginaw for a big road game at Eagle Mountain on the 31st of October, and then they will wrap up their district schedule November 7th at home against Burke Burnett.
Game of the year for Mineral Wells, or games of the year for Mineral Wells. I see two. In my opinion, I think the coming off of that Brock game, I think there's a 2 game stretch with Graham, who is, let's face it, probably rebuilding this year, and at Eagle Mountain. Those 2 games there, if Mineral Wells comes away with a win out of one of those 2 games, they're going to be looking at a likely 3 or number 2 seed. If they win them both, they'll be a 2 seed for sure. So it just depends on how tiebreakers shake out. But I think they're a prohibitive favorite with Bridgeport and Burke Burnett.
Yeah, I agree. I was going to say, to me, the game of the year is that road date on Halloween at Eagle Mountain. I think that probably decides the 3 seed. But I think that'll be a big game regardless, because I think you feel pretty confident with the Bridgeport and Burke Burnett games that you'll win those. That gets you into the playoffs. Now you're talking about seeding, and I think that Eagle Mountain game could be a really interesting one against a team that a lot of people think is going to be pretty significantly improved this year. So that's a tough 3 game stretch when you look at Brock, at home against Graham, and at Eagle Mountain. If you can survive those first 2, that Eagle Mountain game I think becomes a really big one for seeding. But I think it's gonna be a fun schedule to follow. It's gonna be a fun season for Mineral Wells, so I'm excited and looking forward to it.
One win in that stretch, one win in that stretch will likely get you a 3 seed,
It will.
more than likely.
Hmm.
All right, and with that, it is time to wrap up this edition of the Countdown to Two-A-Days series, the Mineral Wells Rams. But before we do that, we want to remind you that on August 20th, that is the day, that's the big day for Big Country Preps. That's when we release our preseason football preview. It'll have previews of all the 11-man teams that we cover and a 6-man preview as well. We will have more than 40 player features. We will have opinion pieces. We will have columns. We will have standings. We will have stats. We will have district predictions. It is a ton of material. It's the most comprehensive look at area football, the big country, and a sprinkling of teams on the outside of the big country, Mineral Wells being one of those. Of its most comprehensive look at that of any media source, either in our area or statewide.
In the meantime, thank you for joining us for this episode of our Countdown to Two-A-Days series, and make sure you come back tomorrow when we take a look at the Glen Rose Tigers here at BigCountryPreps.com.